Welcome to Workboard's April Community Call. I'm Victoria, Customer Success at Workboard, and I'm so happy you could join us today. We're going to be previewing what's coming next week, as well as giving you a sneak peek of the next 90 days. I hope you'll join our conversation on Twitter, and if you don't follow us yet, please do. Now I'm going to turn it over to Deirdre Patnat, our CEO.
Thanks, Victoria, and thank you for being a part of the Workboard community and joining our call today. At Workboard, we're trying to help you achieve your goals, elevate your priorities, do work that matters, give feedback and drive accountability, let information and work flow smoothly, and drive organizational alignment. I'm really excited to share with you the features coming next week and over the next 90 days that'll help you do just those things. Next week, we have a couple things that I know you'll appreciate and are looking forward to, and many of you have requested. Among those are smarter search. So you'll be able to search using combinations of owner and status and team to make your search even smarter and faster. I'll show you what that looks like in a minute. We've done a whole bunch of visual spiffs and improvements all over the app to make it easier to read and to use and to navigate. We have some new features coming in the goals area, including rating performance and closing goals. We've added permissions on work streams so you can include and exclude people, not just on teams, but on individual work streams. We have a new view for managers to help them be more effective in one-on-ones and enabling their team members to succeed. And probably the thing you're waiting for most, integrations with a whole variety of apps from Calendar to Salesforce and any number of other apps. And Checklist is coming on the iPhone all next week. And let me give a shout out here to Gaurav, one of our engineers at Workboard. He's the one who did reply to comments via email, which was one of your big requests in our last community call. And of course, he's working on search now.
So search. You'll be able to combine or use smarter terms in the search so that your search results are smarter. So a couple examples here. The one at the bottom is the simplest. You want to do a search where the owner of the action item is Mary Jane and the keyword in it is Gartner, and get a list of only those things that Mary owns that have Gartner in the action item. And maybe you want to only search on things Mary owns that she's still working on, and you can use the status to constrain your search, or even use status and a work stream and the priority level and tags in a single search to get an even smarter search result. So these will be out next week, and you just type owner, colon, and the person's name. If you're a Gmail user, you'll recognize that as the same way you search your email box. It's pretty simple, and it should hopefully make finding your action items and other people's action items much easier very soon. On the app itself, there's a couple things that are coming that we think will help, and one of those is crisper, cleaner text so you can read more easily on the menu bar. A lot of you have asked for the ability to see progress and checklists. So as you'll see from that very first action item here on my workstream list, I have a 1 of 3 and a little checklist. That's telling me that the action item to coordinate with Acme on architecture has a checklist in it, and 1 of the 3 items on the checklist are completed. So now you'll be able to get that indication on the action item row itself. And if I click that 1 of 3 on the checklist, it'll take me directly to the checklist. So you get a little more insight on the progress, and of course you get the cue that there is a set of items below the action item that you might want to attend to. On the Teams page, there are a couple of improvements, and among them just cleaning up the page and making it a little easier to understand what's where. And now by the member's name, for example, Mary White, there's a little magnifying glass and check mark, and that indicates that I can click and see Mary's workload and the details around Mary's contribution. What that'll take me to is, of course, a look at the workload of that person and I can see what the current status of action items are and filter those and see what's been done in the past and so on. At the top now, there are metrics that help me compare, for example, what Joan's workload is and how much of that work is being completed to other members of the team and what they're working on. So I have an opportunity or a comparison of what the workload is across the team, and I'm better able to balance that and make sure that collectively our resources are focused on the right things and are arranged or allocated in the best way. The upper right side of that, I have some stats about Joan's work, including how much of what she's working on is high priority, how often her work is done as planned, meaning on time, and when it is delayed, how many days on average does the action item or the deliverable get delayed based on the initial plan. The next thing that we've done here for elite users is bring together the view of Joan's badges and the feedback she's gotten with the workload. So the next tab on this view of Joan is all of the badges and the feedback over time. And so I can see the badges she's gotten based on action items, based on a report for a given week, based on my appreciating what she's done and giving her ad hoc badges. The next element is reports. So again, right here in the same place, I've seen her workload. Now I see the badges that she's gotten over time, and right next to that I can see the weekly status reports and progress reports. And those reports show what's changed in any given week. So I can see the incremental progress, and of course I can also see that Joan felt like last week she was chugging along just fine. So it's bringing the context of Joan, her contribution, her load, and feedback all together, and we think that can help set managers and team members up better for one-on-ones and make those more effective. The next thing a number of you have asked for is you want to be able to print your goals and print those goals pages to avoid having to redo PowerPoints for quarterly reporting, or to be able to just send those to your upline managers or executives, or send them out to the team for that matter. So now you'll be able to print your goals and metrics and include the summary page or not, and that printout then will give you, in this case, the summary page of the goals for the team. And I see the goal, the progress, how many days remaining, and a little bit of detail about what's below it, how many metrics, how many work streams. And then the goal itself, in this case, release our 2 best games ever, and the 4 metrics for it. And this is print, can be printed to PDF or printed to the old-fashioned paper, but it makes it easier for you to share your goals and the metrics with people outside of the Workboard app. Also coming next week is closing goals and giving a self-rating for the performance of those goals. So when you close out a goal, you can give it a 1 to 5-star rating on how you did against that goal, and add comments around it and dialogue around what the goal is at the end of the period. And then those closed goals will be available so you can look backwards over time and see over the course of the year or the month after month in a quarter what your goals were and how you did against those. And then you'll be able to print that closed goals as well, including a summary page, the goals, and if you want, the comments and the details that were below those goals as you executed against them. That then gives you this summary of the goal, the progress, where you were at the end of the period, and then the detail for it, including the metrics and the endpoint metrics for a closed goal. The next piece is, by now, probably a good number of you have a lot of teams, and you may be using teams to define a group of people that you want to bring together to work, and it may be that you're creating teams to limit who has access to the work streams and shared work. We're going to make that easier now by putting view permissions on the work streams themselves. So now when you create a work stream for a team, by default, everyone on the team can see the action items in the work stream, but you'll be able to look at who has access and exclude people so that you can start to make more private work streams, or more, if you will, share the work stream with less than everybody on the team. So in this example, Ernie, Robert, Jenny, and Pearl are all on the team and by default have permission to view this work stream. If I unselect Robert and Jenny, they will no longer be able to see this work stream and the action items in it. So you can manage and control the permissions a little bit better and don't need to maybe create so many teams to create those private work groups. All right, integration. So finally, and I know you've all asked for it many times, but finally it's coming. I'm going to make integrating Workboard into your work environment, your workflow much easier. And I'm going to give you a look at what that looks like. So I'm going to flip over to my app and the goals and metrics for a marketing team. I'm logged in as a marketing manager. I have a couple goals here, including the spring events. And for example, if I add a comment here to this goal, and I'm excited about what happened with it, when I add this comment to this goal, and here we've integrated it with Slack, right away, my comment on that goal, we're almost there, last push on attendees, and my goal, the spring events that delight and excite customers, that was immediately published in my Slack channel goal, which is a channel we set up for the team. So the comments and goals and metrics are pumped right into Slack. Likewise, if I want to go from not a comment on the goal, but I want to drop down into the work that we're doing to achieve that goal, let's go to the quarter end customer event. And here, if I, for example, want to look at the list of attendees and make a comment here as well, like Joe just confirmed he's coming, I can push that same thing automatically into the Slack channel for this workstream quarter end customer event. You get a really nicely integrated chat and work all together and have it be very seamless for everybody. Likewise, you might want to send this list of attendees off to Salesforce so that the inside sales team or the outside sales team can follow up on that and prospect. And so the integration here is we've connected this work stream and these action items to be able to push to Salesforce on the other side. And you'll find those integrations as you connect them up and set them up on the three-dot menu, the sub-action menu, on action items, on work streams, etc. One of the other things that people want to do often, and you'll be able to do now, is if you have a calendar event or action, for example, my quarterly business review with Mary, the CMO, and don't laugh because this is a pathetically empty calendar, and I know none of your calendars look like this, where you just have one thing to do next week. But if you will, let's pretend I have one thing to do next week, and it's review this, or do the quarterly business review with Mary. When I put that on my calendar, I've set up integration and filters so that when I have a calendar event or a meeting scheduled with Mary, my boss, it automatically gives me an action item for that so that I can be well prepared for those meetings. And it sweeps my calendar every 15 minutes, and if it finds something I have set up with Mary, which I've said I want to create an action in Workboard when I have a meeting with Mary, that action shows up on my calendar here, my calendar for next week. And I'm going to say, all right, I want to be prepared. I'm going to move that to Monday on my action item list so that Tuesday, when I get to the meeting, I am well prepared for that quarterly business review. The way we're doing the integration is using something called Zapier, which gives us the very, very quick ability to connect with literally hundreds of other apps. And so what we've done is connect to Zapier and create a set of triggers that can be used with Zapier to connect to the thousands of other apps that have connected to Zapier. It's like a pipe between the two apps. So I can choose, for example, when something in Workboard happens, I'm going to do something in another app. So the triggers in Workboard you can use: new action item, when there's a new comment on a goal, when there's a new goal, when there's a new work stream, when there's a new comment on an action item. So when one of those things happen, you can say, in this other app, or any of these other apps, you want to have something else happen. So if there's an action item in Workboard, create an action item in something else. If there's an action item in the prospect work stream, add that to next event or next step with a particular prospect. So you can flow back and forth between the two. And you can be pretty sophisticated about the filters you use. So for example, my calendar, I don't want everything in my calendar to be an action item. I just want, for example, the meetings with my boss to trigger an action on my side. So use filters much the same way you would apply filters to your mailbox anyway. You can have it go the other way as well. So choose an application when something happens in Salesforce, like a new prospect is created. You could have it choose to create a new work stream for the pre-sales team in Workboard. You can pick and choose and combine those in any way you want, and it gives you a lot of flexibility. It also makes it personal. It doesn't assume that everybody in the company does exactly the same way or exactly the same things in exactly the same way. So if you like lots of filters and to be incredibly wired, be that way. If you want it simple, you can be that way too. Starting next week, we'll host a series of weekly calls where we go through each different app that you can connect to. We'll show you examples of it, and we'll show you how to set it up. Those will all be recorded, so if you miss one of those calls, you'll be able to go to the video on how do I connect Workboard to Slack, or how do I connect Workboard to Google Docs, and so on, and you'll be able to look through that library. If you join the calls, though, of course, we can do Q&A and help you get set up with your particular flavor and choice of apps. Zapier's really cool. There's so many options for what you can connect to, and there are more and more options every day. So, next 90 days. In the next 45 days, so between now and the end of May, we're adding a couple things. Peer and team goal rating. So as you close out the goal, you can ask everybody on the team to rate how you did. And it's how many stars, you know, 3-star, 4-star, 5-star, and their comments. And the comments can include what went great and what can go better, or what the team could do better next time. That really engages people in reflecting on performance, celebrating performance, and on the goals that the team has. It makes them real. And if you break your goals down into monthly and quarterly goals rather than annual goals, it can really increase your velocity and focus, and the ratings are a way to do that. We're also adding a way to link goals and create dependencies in goals, and we're enhancing the wizard so they get easier and easier to set up. There's a big group of you out there who wants the ability to replicate action items. So when you create one action item, not only be able to repeat it every Monday or every Friday, which we can do now, but to replicate it. So create this action item and create 8 more just like it for these 8 other people on the team. And that'll be in the action item details page. And for a lot of you, I know that's an important convenience. The big thing we're adding in the next 45 days is a real way to manage one-on-ones. So identify action items that you want to put on the agenda, make notes and add discussion topics, share that between your manager or with your team member, and then in the meeting, capture the takeaways and have that be persistent. So next one-on-one, say, what did we talk about? What did we decide? And it's all there, and you both have it, and you use the time really effectively and really conveniently. Along with that, we'll be adding more performance analytics and more sophisticated analytics. So our graphs will get more interactive and more dynamic, and they'll extend to more elements of individual performance and team performance. We're adding badges on mobile and making it easier to, from within the app, give a badge when you see a notification on something. It's such a good trigger when you see a notification that somebody's just attached the next draft of something and you think it looks great. Right then, right there, badge them up and let them know that you think it looks great. The stretch from end of May and June into early July, we're adding a couple more things. Some are big animals, some are minor conveniences, but organization management and being able to manage a larger organization structure more conveniently, and when you're part of that large ecosystem, to be able to see who's in the ecosystem and share and collaborate with them more easily. Team calendar is on its way. We know you want that. Interactive dashboards and analytics, we'll just keep on adding and enhancing and improving the dashboards and analytics everywhere. Gaurav, again, is going to be master of that universe. We'll be adding individual goals and key accomplishments, so not team-based, but individual, and be able to track those key accomplishments over the year and enable really regular performance conversations. So don't have the abstract or irrelevant end-of-year review. You have this ongoing conversation and real sync between managers and their team members on what matters. Goals and metrics are coming to mobile, and we'll do deeper integrations with a couple apps that are where deeper and more organization-wide integrations will be important. Rocio, our lead designer who did the weekly calendar you see on your My Work page, is excited about a bunch of the new analytics. She and Gaurav are working on those, and she's making some refinements to the calendar interaction that you have now. So some sneak peeks at what that looks like. Badges by phone will be, as you'd expect on your phone, visual and thumb-friendly. So you'll be able to browse the badge catalog and library, pick a person's head or face, and then badge them up really quickly. They'll get a pretty cool badge alert on their phone too. So big, bright, shiny, fun, more interactive. When goals come to mobile, you'll be able to, as you are on the web, but more conveniently, be able to browse the organization, move up and down from your own goals and team's goals, upward and into the organization. If you select a particular person in your team and see what goals they've cascaded down, you get a view of the goals, the status on each of the metrics at the high level, the last comment on the goal, and which work streams are related. And then you can click into any of those things. Go see the metric, go into the conversation, or go into the work streams. The metrics will be visual, bright, and easy to get a quick view of not only where you've been on that goal, but where you are in the current interval or period. And then, of course, if you're the person who's updating the metrics, you'll be able to do that right there on that metric page and just enter what the next interval or value is. On the Teams page, the personnel metrics and the performance things that are coming will be a better set of graphs and more interactive graphs, so include and exclude people as you look at the workload and workload balance. In addition to being able to see the list of badges, get a view of, over time, how much of the badges or how many of the badges were positive, neutral, and negative, and how does that compare with other members of the team? You'll even be able to see for the managers on your team how many badges they've given their team. Do they give feedback regularly, and do they give supportive feedback, or is it always negative feedback? And then one-on-ones. And here you'll be able to look at the last one-on-one, what the discussion topics and takeaways were, and then for the current one-on-one, add takeaways, add notes, and so on. Both the manager and the team member will be able to identify action items from their My Work page or the Workstream page that they want to put on the agenda for that one-on-one. They'll be able to identify goals that they want to put on the agenda for the one-on-one. And that list is just captured here. And so if you're on the goals page, tag something and move it over. If you're on the action items page anywhere, just flag something as next one-on-one. And we'll collect it, so wherever you are when that one-on-one takes place, the things you wanted to talk about will be handy, convenient, you'll focus the time, and you and the person you're doing the one-on-one with will actually be able to make the most of the time you've allocated to spend together. We're adding a notion of how you feel about the alignment between yourself and your manager, or between, as a manager, you and your team member, how you feel about their performance and how you feel about their engagement in the team's efforts and energies. And we'll gather that information really steadily over time and give managers and team members a way to sort of self-assess. Am I tuned in and really aligned with my manager? Does my manager think I am? And if not, what do I want to do about that? Do I step it up? Do I look for a job that's a better fit? And likewise for managers, do you need to give more attention and more support to members of your team? Who needs your management coaching and support and effort? The goals wizard will get easier and better, and along with the wizard getting better, there'll be some new capabilities that we know that you're looking for. So in addition to being able to define your goal, you'll also be able to cascade the goal not just to one team, but to all of your teams. And you'll be able to set both the start and the end date for that goal. So set it to start at the beginning of the quarter and end at the end of the quarter. Currently, we look at the achieve by date, but we assume the start date is when you create the goal. So this is a really important improvement for a lot of you. The second step, adding metrics for a goal or adding key results for an objective, will also get easier, simpler, more sentence-like. You'll be able to still, as you are now, set your target and your starting values and so on, but the process will get a little simpler. You'll have a better anchoring of where you are. That is the set of things that I wanted to share with you in previews and sneak previews. So now I want to ask you what you think. And if you have questions or comments, thoughts that you want to share, we'd love to hear those. I'd love to hopefully answer them. So the easiest way to do that is if you would post the questions in the chat box or the question box, and we'll give you a second to think about what it is you want to feedback or say, and then we'll read those out and hopefully have some answers for you. And if you want to say that you're really happy about some of those things coming, we'd love to hear that too. I'm going to wait just a few seconds and let you post either in chat or a question, any questions or comments you might have. Okay, so thank you for a lot of questions. It's great. So the easy ones, can you get a copy of the presentation? Absolutely. We've recorded it, and we will send you a link to the replay, and the replay will be on the Resource Center. Happy to provide the slides as well. Any plans for task dependency where one task can't be completed until others are done? Not yet. It's a detailed project management capability, and we probably aren't going to get to that in the next 90 days. There are a couple things people do now to work with that. Among them is put each other in the loop. So if you're dependent on someone else's task, put yourself in the loop so you get proactively notified when they complete it or when something goes wrong on that task. And of course, using work streams to group related tasks, and then linking two action items together with the URL for those action items. But in the next 90 days, we're not likely to do task dependency. When are you hoping to release an iPad app? We're hoping to fix all of the web app bugs and quirks on iPad, and we probably look to an iPad app in the late summer, so that would be Q3. We know it's important. Our first priority right now is to make sure the web app, which is sized to iPad, to make sure it behaves really, really well. And you should get the benefit of all of the capabilities on your iPad using the browser. And let's see, there's so many questions now, I gotta pick them all out. Okay, I really like these. This is awesome. You guys are awesome. Everything looks great. Thank you very much. That motivates us like you can't imagine. Thank you. Oh, at some point we'd like to create our own badges. That's a very cool idea. We agree. And we are trying to figure out what's the best, easiest way to do that. How would you add badges that are for your team? And I think it's one of those things we'd like to see when we think about how do you manage larger organizations or manage an ecosystem. But that's a great, great request. We'll work on that. The text in most graphics are so small I can't read them. Yes, we are. In the next week, actually, the text will get larger. It will get darker. The background will get lighter, so that that we do some real work on readability. There's a lot of experience and I'll say UI cleanup things, clearer symbols, no more light gray. So we're really working on a lot of that. You should see incremental improvements next week when these features come out. Hopefully you don't notice the subtleties, but there should be a lot of subtle improvements. Among those, by the way, is tabs, clear, explicit tabs that tell you that there's another tab you can click to, and clearer, more explicit menus and sub-function menus. One of our execs is focused on mobile. He'd like to be able to use robust searching from his iPhone. Awesome request, yes. We need to add and extend search into iPhone, and hopefully as we move on, especially when we move towards the goals on mobile, we'll be able to roll that in as well. I think there are a lot of similar questions, hopefully. Hopefully they're relatively common and those are decent answers on all of them. If you have additional questions or you think I didn't get to your question, feel free to post it again, and we'll post there. And then what we'll do is when we post the replay for the web link or for the web meeting, any questions we didn't get an answer to, a public answer to, we'll just either send you a private email with a response, or if it's a question asked more than one time, we'll make sure we just answer those questions along with the publishing the replay to it. So I'm going to ask you, as with last time, we got some awesome selfies and feedback on how other people Workboard. So if you feel so inspired, we would love to hear how you Workboard, how you use it, what you like about it, what it does for you, how it helps you. And if you'll tweet or send us a selfie of you and your Workboard, we'll send you a Workboard mug or a Workboard t-shirt. Or for those of you out there that already have both a mug and a t-shirt, we'll send you something even better. So I love this selfie here. And of course, it's really motivating and really fun for our team to see you, meet you, and know how you use Workboard. It inspires us and gets us even more excited about going faster and getting you more value more quickly. So with that, I'm going to wrap up the call. Thank you so much for using Workboard, for your feedback today, and for all of the feedback you give us as we try and make the best app we can. There are 3 ways you can share that feedback. Chat anytime in the app, as you know. Set up a call. I'd love to talk to you directly and listen to how you use Workboard directly and capture your feedback, or share a screen, show us how you use it, or email me or Victoria. We're Deidre@workboard.com or Victoria@workboard.com. Any of those ways is great. Whatever way works for you. Share your feedback. We'd love to hear it. And again, thank you very much.